Hello again everybody and welcome to the Downtown 1967 scenario in Command. This is a Vietnam War scenario set on the 1st and 2nd of December 1967. We're going to be commanding the USS Ranger Strike Group and the associated aircraft conducting airstrikes in the Hanoi area. So let's go ahead and get into the side briefing and have a look at the overall situation. And I'll zoom the map in so we can get a better view of the layout as we go. Now the USS Ranger Strike Group is on Yankee Station and ready to conduct strike operations in the Hanoi area. So we have the Ranger right here, and then Hanoi is up here inland in North Vietnam. The enemy forces consist of an air defense system that is the most intensive ever encountered, comprised of fighters, anti-aircraft guns, and surface-to-air missiles. So Hanoi and Haiphong up here to the north are notoriously well defended, and we're going to have all the air defense sites start to pop up as we get aircraft airborne and they start to sniff out these sites, mostly SA-2, and then every caliber imaginable of AAA once we get in here low, especially over Hanoi. Now the friendly forces, again, we are in command of Task Force 77's Ranger Strike Group, and we also have some Air Force fighters over here conducting a strike, but these are under AI control, so I'm only going to be commanding the Navy forces, and then just following the Air Force strike in after they hit their target and start to pull out, then we'll push in. Now our mission is going to be to launch an alpha strike using all available aircraft against two bridges in the Hanoi area, and that's going to be the Paul Daumer and the Colvin 2 bridges, with a secondary target of the Yen Bien Railway and warehouses. So we'll have a look up here, but this is basically the location of the bridges, sort of right here on the Red River within Hanoi itself, and then the rail yards are just to the northeast, across the Red River from the main part of Hanoi, but we'll zoom in there and start to build the missions for those strikes here in just a bit. Execution will be to launch all available aircraft and conduct an alpha strike against the above targets. And it goes on to describe a typical alpha strike, and I'm going to not try necessarily to make a historical recreation of all of this stuff. I'm just going to frame this after the way I want to organize it here, but it will follow most of these guidelines with jammers patrolling off the coast, blinding the enemy radar. So I plan on a couple of jammer tracks out here over the coast, and then having them push in to further cover the strike package as they pass south of Haiphong, north of Tai Binh and the Nam Binh area, pushing up into Hanoi. So I'm just trying to create this corridor for our forces to get in and out using. I'm also going to have seed aircraft, suppression of enemy air defenses, aircraft launching, pushing through the corridor and trying to take out any surface-to-air threats that pop up around Hanoi, and there should be no lack of targets for those guys. I'm going to follow them up with a strike element, 12 to 18 bombers in flights of 4 to 6, using that same corridor, and I'm going to have F-4 Phantoms available for mid-caps, so I'm going to have the Phantoms pushing in and just making a sweep just in front of the package to take care of any air threats. And I would expect MiG-17, MiG-19, MiG-21 type threats in a 1967 Vietnam scenario. So I want to get as many aircraft in and out on this target as I can, as organized as I can possibly make it. So let's go ahead and kick the scenario off and start to set these missions up and see how this air defense picture starts to develop. Now I am using, let me see, I'm on version 1.11, release candidate 9. So this version has a lot of added functionality for aerial refueling. This scenario was a little tricky to make happen before, that's why I've never really completely flown through it, but now we are going to have the ability to manage the aircraft fuel states a lot better than we could before, and have these guys get on and off the targets hassle-free when it comes to fuel. So our forces, and I'll just leave this running in real time for now, but our forces consist of A-7As, so these are Corsairs, attack aircraft that I'm going to be using against either the bridges or the rail yard. Now these guys also have the ability to carry AGM-45 Shrikes, and these are anti-radiation missiles, and this is going to be the aircraft and the loadout, these 6 aircraft that I use for the suppression of the enemy air defenses. Now I'll probably just have the other 4 assigned to a strike of some sort. We have A-4C Skyhawks, smaller ground attack aircraft, but very, very capable in their own right. These are loaded with Mark 82 general purpose bombs. So again, either the rail yard or the bridges. So let's see what else we have here. A6s. Come to think of it, I'll probably use the A4s against the rail yards, and I'll use the A6s against the bridges, although the weapons loadout for all of these aircraft, I mean, it's 1967, so we don't have like a very good precision strike capability yet, so everything is just general purpose bombs. The A6s, generally speaking, have the best weapons delivery capability. Now, if I had aircraft loaded with, say, for example, AGM-12 Bullpup or AGM-62 Walleye, guided weapons of the type that were developed specifically because it was so hard in Vietnam to get good hits on bridge targets like we're up against, I would definitely prefer those over just straight up Mark 82s, but I'm going to take the loadout as is and move on to the F-4 Phantom. So we have F-4B models, and these are air-to-air and air-to-ground very capable aircraft, but without the internal gun, so these are missile only, and these are going to be loaded with AIM-7 Sparrow, medium-range, semi-active, radar-guided missiles, and AIM-9D Sidewinder. So not the most capable missile combination in the world, but for its time, it's going to do its job. So those are the main players that I'm going to have up. I'm also going to have in support roles UH-2 Sea Sprites for search and rescue, KA-3 Sky Warriors. So we have some new contacts, bogies, popping up as the Air Force units start to push in there. So we have A3 Sky Warrior tankers available, EKA-3 Sky Warrior ECM and ELINT aircraft available, RA-5 Vigilantes. These are recon aircraft that I'm going to have following up the strike package, and I believe that was a missile launch. Yeah, it's an Illuminator off an SA-2 heading in against the Air Force strike package. I'll leave this visible as we go through here and see what all we have available. So these guys, the A-5s, will be following up the strike package. I'm going to have E-2 Hawkeye or airborne early warning aircraft, so I need to get this going actually and get this aircraft into the air so it can give me a better picture of what's airborne. And then I have RA-3 Sky Warrior recon and ELINT aircraft available as well. So I'm going to use everything that I have here in some capacity, one way or another. And at this point, I just need to start building missions. So let me go ahead and set up, and like I said, try to get these support aircraft airborne, particularly that AWACS aircraft. So this will be my first mission I set up. It's going to be called AWACS. It's just a support mission, and there are some missile launches going in against aircraft off of more Air Force aircraft. I'm going to just have one aircraft stay on station for the AWACS, and I'm just going to assign all 4 of my Hawkeyes to it, and it's just due to setting this to 1, going to keep one aircraft airborne at all times. I'm going to go ahead and have them go radar active because I want them radiating and finding aircraft for me. And for this mission, yeah, it's a simple setup. That's all I'm really going to do to it. And that should be getting airborne momentarily. Although I will remove that Point Yankee. There we go. So now they're just going to orbit right here. Okay, next up, I don't really plan on using these extensively, but I am going to get a tanker track set up and get some tankers airborne. So Control F11 tanker is the mission, and again, support mission. And I'm going to assign the KA-3Bs. I'll just get both of these airborne and just have them up there standing by. I might need to, I know the A4s are the shortest legged, or just have the lowest fuel capacity and endurance, so I might actually have the A4s hit the tanker before pushing in, but in either case they're going to be there standing by. Now let me go ahead and get my ECM tracks set up to start to jam some of these radars. I'll just have one off the coast to the south and one off the coast to the north. The north group focusing on Haiphong, the southern group focusing on the thrust to the south. We already have an SA-2 visible right here that we can see missiles going in on. Actually, there's an AGM-45 Shrike going in against an SA-2 site. So this will be ECM North. And again, this will just be a simple support mission with a single EKA-3 up there, and I'm going to go to the MCON settings, and I'm going to have them go offensive ECM active. So they're going to jam any radar signals that pop up. And then same thing for this one, ECM South. Simple support mission. Consisting of a single EKA-3, so let's go ahead and have them set to offensive ECM active. And that will get that airborne. And like I said, sort of in the intro to this, I'm going to have them initially set up out here over the coast and then just have them push in slightly to jam in the Hanoi area. If situation permitting, depending on how many air defense targets come up. Now we can see a lot of airborne aircraft out here. That was a J6 Farmer that was just identified. J6 is a, let me see, that's a MiG-19 copy. Guns only, it looks like, for that aircraft, so the Air Force F-4 should have relatively little trouble making short work of them. Now, let me, since we do have an air threat up, go ahead and set up my mid-cap, and I'll just have them initially set up with a box out here near the coast, and then a couple of waypoints for them to hold at, so that they're just out here covering the initial support aircraft as they get airborne. And I'm going to use those F-4B Phantoms to take care of this. So let's call this mid-cap. Although technically it's going to end up being more of like a fighter sweep in the end, but I'm going to make this one a patrol, an anti-aircraft warfare patrol. And it's giving me a warning there that the shape doesn't really make sense. I'm going to clean that up because I know how this needs to look. So for the patrol area, I'm just going to have 1145 and 1146. For the prosecution area, I'm going to add all those points and then remove those 2 points that I just wanted them to set up an orbit at. So now we have the box up here that they're going to prosecute targets within, and then the 2 points that the aircraft are going to hold at. And initially, let me just go ahead and get 4 aircraft. I'll go with the VF-21. I'll just get a 4-ship of F-4s up. I'll set this to be by default a 4-ship. And get them going. I think we have some Talos surface-to-air missiles going in from the Ranger Strike Group. I did not want them to do that. Actually, let me have them go radar off, just to maintain some MCON. And I'll go to Doctrine, and I'll have them weapons hold on air threats. I don't want a whole lot of missiles in the air. And they did actually, I think, maybe a couple of times took some shots, but it wasn't really that common. Unless something came out over the coast. So yeah, I just don't want a whole lot of missiles in the air at this point. If I need to, if I get desperate, then I can use them. But for now, I've just got those 4 F-4s coming up here, and if anything comes within this box, the F-4s will engage. And see, this missile shot isn't going to come anywhere near hitting because it was launched at max range, and the aircraft it was launched against is already pulled out of range, so that's just a waste of a missile. But luckily, I do have my E-3 Hawkeye in the air, now starting to identify targets. So it looks like we have more J6s. We see some SA-2s in the air going against some F-105Ds. And let me see, MiG-17 Frisco Ds. So these are going to be, let me see, these are AA-1 Alkali air-to-air missile capable, so mainly just a guns threat. And let me see if any MiG-21s. Yeah, there we go. We have a MiG-21 PF Fishbed D. This is going to be the main threat. So we see the AA-2 Atoll. These are more capable than the AA-1, that's for sure. Heat-seeking missiles. And we don't have a radar-guided missile threat against these MiGs. So as long as I can just stay at range, I don't want to get in close against these MiGs with these F-4Ds, which we can see our first 4 F-4Ds already airborne, and they're coming up here to hold. Okay, so now let's go ahead and get our strike package beginning to form up and get some more support flights going. Now there are many ways to do this, and in future updates I'm looking forward to the one with the advanced strike planner that's going to allow us to pre-plan missions. But for now, what I'm going to do is just create a mission and just have it set up as a Marshall location, so that the aircraft are going to form up right there, and then from there I'll have these aircraft airborne and assign them to missions that I'll create as we go, as we have some. It looks like our Air Force package is hitting an airfield up there, Gialam, up there just to the southeast of Hanoi. And you can see the threat up there. In fact, let me go to here and show non-friendly range symbols, so you can see these outlined right here. These are the engagement envelopes of these SA-2 sites that have started to pop up. So we're against the SA-2 system, so a long range surface-to-air missile, fan song, illuminator, spoon rest search radar, all the way out to either 80 or 120 miles. So that's going to be the primary threat as we start to push in, and then just a whole lot of AAA as we go. But okay, for our Marshall location, we're just going to have them launch as 4 ships, so flights of 4 aircraft, and I'm just going to go through here and launch everything at this point, starting with the A4s. And like I said, I'm just going to have I'll probably have the A4s hit the tanker, so I'll get them airborne, assigned to that mission, and getting airborne first. Let's get our, let me see, I think from there, A7s have a little bit more range. Oddly enough, I think the A7 has more range than the A6. I might stand corrected on that, but I think that's how it works for this loadout in this configuration. So let's get the A6s airborne. Then after that, let's get the A7s airborne. Now, I think the order in which you assign them dictates generally how they get airborne. I could be mistaken. It doesn't really matter, though, for our purposes. So that's the rest of the strike aircraft. Now let's get the rest of the fighter cover airborne so that these guys will be ready to push in and clear out these MiGs. There we go. Now I have some other assets. RA-5 Vigilantes. I want to get airborne as we have another missile launch, probably off of a, let me see, I've got a, yeah, there's an F4 up there taking out some J6s over Haiphong. And boy, this strike package got torn apart pretty handily there. So it's not an easy situation by any means. Okay, so let me, just for the sake of getting these airborne, get the A5s up. And yeah, it's just telling me that yeah, that's right, I have a restriction down here on the flight size. I'm going to disable the flight size restriction. So now, even though I only have 2 RA-5s available, they are going to get airborne. And let me see, I had some RA-3Bs. I'll have these guys airborne. I think I'll just set them up on a track just for ELINT, electronic intelligence. I'm going to wait to get my, looks like I have a single Sea Sprite search and rescue helicopter available. So I think in a real setup like this, there would be a cruiser and a destroyer that would stand in out here just off the coast to pick up anybody that needed to ditch out there over the water. So it wouldn't necessarily, I don't think under any circumstances I would be using the Ranger helicopters to make a pickup unless somebody ditched or bailed out here over the open water. It would mainly just be that destroyer that stands in out here closer to the coast that would be doing the search and rescue. But let me see, that is the basic setup for the support aircraft. Now, before things start to progress too much here, I've got these ECM aircraft pushing out there to the coast. I don't want them to get out there too far in until I have some more fighter cover established. So I've got the 4-ship up there initially, waiting for things to start to come to the southeast on us. And yeah, I don't want to get anything too far up there without more adequate cover. So I'll tell you what, this is a pretty good stopping point for me to take my first break. So if you're enjoying this and you want to see more, feel free to subscribe and leave a like and share the video, especially the first video in a series, anywhere that you think it would be appreciated. And I'll see you in part 2. So thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time.